I said, what I realize right now, that you are, as a woman, the most important thing in the world.
The Empire Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Empire. And yes, we have another great guest. He is a community member, community activist, retired businessman, and many more things. And his name is Jim Palmer. Welcome to The Empire, Jim.
Thank you.
And how you doing today? How's your day been? How's your year been?
Fine. I'm hanging in there, doing all right.
Got you.
Yeah.
I think we should start using a different word besides hanging, because I always think of what do they say? Strange fruit, when people use the word
Right. I
hanging
understand what
in
you're
there.
saying. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I'm not hanging. We're having a good time.
There we go.
Right.
Our words matter, right?
Absolutely.
So how's your morning, man? It's summertime, right? We're in the summer, or
Yeah,
getting close to summer.
Fine. A buddy of mine took me out to so-called breakfast donut and coffee.
This morning?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What type? You have a favorite donut?
Jelly donut.
Okay.
Any flavor.
Any flavor?
Any flavor.
Got you. So basically like jelly-filled donut.
You got it.
Okay.
Right.
Got you. My business I used to love the maple bars. And the bear claws. I used to tear those mugs up. Oh man. But Jim, for people who may not know who you are and the things that you do and have done, can you please let us know who you are?
No, my real name is James Stewart Palmer. I wasn't named after the actor James Stewart, but it's my name. Born in New Jersey in 1939, from my father James Palmer and my mother Irma Palmer. Plainfield, New Jersey, which now is known as one of the poorest cities in the state of New Jersey, Plainfield. 1939, December 1st, 1939. I'm 85 years old as of today.
Gotcha. And so who are you? What have you done? Tell us a little bit about some stuff that you've done throughout this world.
My parents moved to California in the 50s. We grew up in the housing projects and the Pueblo projects in Los Angeles, Long Beach Avenue. It's in L.A. In those days, you could travel pretty good because it was called a red car, which went from L.A. to Long Beach. And it was inexpensive, probably like 25 cents to go from L.A. to Long Beach. After that, I went to the Holmes Avenue School in L.A., which was near the Pueblo projects. And my parents, in the late or early 50s, moved to Compton. I remember it vividly because I was hit by a car in those days, and I wasn't hurt. This was in the projects area on Holmes Avenue, but the cars in those days were pretty high off the ground, so I was hit and knocked under the car just a few inches, and my father happened to be notified, and he came home, and prior to that, my father didn't have a car. And he drove home in a car. I was like shocked, and I thought my father had bought a car because of me being hit by a car. But later on, I found out that wasn't. He'd already bought the car. So I was shattered in the sense that my dad really was so concerned about me, he bought a car immediately and got home. Mm-hmm. So that's a myth. He already had the car. Mm-hmm. Other than that, my father bought a house in Compton, and we moved to Compton, where I grew up, going to the elementary school, which was Washington School, junior high school, Willowbrook High School, and then Centennial High School, where I played sports in the junior high school on the football team, flag football team. And I was like a third stringer. I very rarely got a chance to play. But I went to Centennial High School, and before that, we would go out and practice and try to become football players. And I did manage to make the football team at high school. And I played on the B team and eventually made it to the A team, which was the varsity team. And I was able to make the first team and make all-league, and played in a championship game after high school, a league championship, where we played a team in Torrance. After that, I'm 17 out of high school. I get a chance to go to junior college. I go to Compton Junior College, Tay Brown was a very well-known coach, and I got a chance to make it to the team. I was 17 years old, and I made it on the team. I had a chance to go to Oklahoma, play with other guys as a second stringer, and the following year I became a first stringer, and I was able to be successful as a football player. People put my picture in the annual as big man on campus. I was in the annual near the last page, so you wouldn't miss me. And I got a scholarship to Idaho State University. It was called Idaho State, but it wasn't a university at the time. And when I got there, I was so excited to see the fact that there was boxing there. I never boxed before. And I asked the coach if I go out for boxing in the off season, and they said yes. So I went for boxing, and I took my licks and learned how to fight. And anyway, I came back the next semester with my football scholarship, which I didn't get a chance to play the first year there. I came back and boxed again, trained again, and was able to make the first team and became the first guy in line to be a heavyweight. And then after that, I fought in different tournaments. And in 1963, I was able to win the AAU Rocky Mountain Heavyweight Championship. And I beat a guy named Roy Overstreet. He was about 6'5". And I really surprised I was a winner because the guy was giving me a good beating, but I knocked him out in the third round. So I won the fight. After that, I was offered an opportunity to be a sparring partner for Gene Fullmore in Utah. But instead of me doing that, I came back to Compton, home. But in that meantime, I had an eye infection, and I couldn't fight anymore. And a buddy of mine was a Golden Gloves champion, and he and I were going to have a contest. He was a light heavyweight, I'm a heavyweight. And we were good friends, but he was a champion, and so was I, and we wanted to fight one another. Not angrily, but to fight and train. But that part of my boxing career was over.
Is that allowed to fight different divisions to fight each other? Is that allowed?
Oh, it's allowed. Yeah, it's training.
Okay,
I mean,
like sparring.
Sparring. At college, I sparred with guys weighing 140 pounds, and the reason why because they're quicker,
faster.
Yeah, and so you learn how to defend yourself. My sparring partner was a light heavyweight. He was left-handed, and I'm telling you, fighting a left-handed guy is quite a chore. Mm-hmm. It's a chore to fight a left-handed guy. Anyway, I was lucky, and I had confidence that I could really beat all the players on the team because I was a heavyweight. That doesn't mean it's the case, but that's how I felt, and I was successful at doing that.
Gotcha. What's the criteria to be in a heavyweight?
It's over 180 pounds or 190 pounds. I fought at 220 pounds. So that was my weight at the time. Mm-hmm. So, but when I got out of high school, I only weighed 175 pounds. Mm-hmm. And so, but you gain weight. I was a 175-pound kid up to 17 and a half or 18 years old. And I gained weight because I was exercising and lifting weights and things like that, and plus boxing. So after that, I came back to California and can't recall what I did, but I still was interested in playing football. And I had an opportunity to play football again, and I wanted to play for the Chargers. I tried out for the Chargers, but the Chargers sent me to New York. Jackie Robinson owned a football team in New York with Andy Robustelli. I forgot the name of the team, but I was there. But they traded me to a team up in Providence, Rhode Island, the Rhode Island Indians, and I made the team there. I played there. I lived there. During that time, it was 1963. I was married. I got married to my wife, Ruth Palmer, and we had our first son about a year later named Stephen Palmer. I moved from Providence after playing there for a while and came back to the West Coast, and I got a team up in Canada. I played in Canada. And when my when I ended playing football, I became a tennis player. And I played for about 14 years as a senior tennis player. And that was pretty good, you know. After being a tennis player and what have you, then I started a career working. You know,
What made you want to do tennis?
tennis was a thing at the time when I was a young man. Tennis was great. Great tennis players, male and female, were great tennis players, and I learned how to do it, and I was able to be successful. Again, like thinking about the left-handed boxer, that was really something. I could see people motions and how to play tennis because of the left-handed people. I could see them, and I could do the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, I was successful at playing tennis.
You know what it makes me think of is like, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you feel like you can read people's body language pretty well since you've been in sports in different avenues and so long?
Well, you have some ability to look at somebody and believe they have physical strength or could have physical strength. I met a guy just recently, and I told a guy, you have the look of an athlete. I said, you really look strong to me. He said, yeah, I spent 15 years in a prison. That's what he told me.
Mm-hmm.
He'd been working out in prison and what have you. And what happens is I personally would evaluate somebody physically by looking at them or evaluating them in their way they talk. I look at you and I see you in such a light, a positive light, that you're calm and you're able to be successful by being calm and getting people to come out and speak like I'm doing right now. So that's the deal. So I'm able to see things maybe real or unreal, but I'm comfortable.
I like that.
Yeah.
Real and unreal.
Yeah.
Please continue your story from playing tennis.
Okay, from playing tennis, I was able to get a job with IBM. IBM at the time didn't have a lot of black salespeople. And the only salesperson I knew about was the one that worked for a company called Young's Distributorship, and it was owned by Korean people, I believe. It was a liquor distributorship. And I get a job with IBM. I was recommended without having a degree because they needed some black people in the organization. This is how I felt. At the time, black guys like myself could have a mustache, not a beard. The white guys that worked for IBM could not have a mustache or a beard. And the difference was that in reference to our society, black people have mustaches and white people didn't at the time, and they didn't have beards. And I remember one occasion where after working for IBM and having success, the manager insisted that I interview a couple of people. And I told him I didn't want to do it. His name was Charlie Glass. I said, Charlie, I don't want to do that. That's not my responsibility. He insisted that I review these two guys. There was a black guy and a white guy. And both of them were qualified to work for IBM, in my opinion. And I told the manager that as well after interviewing them, after he insisted I do it. One thing I told the white guy who had a beard, he had red hair and a red beard, a nice looking beard. I told him to his face, they're going to invite you back here, but I'm telling you, don't change your look. Come with your beard and mustache because they're going to ask you to do something. I'm not going to share that with you. Do not shave. So after a month of interviews and what have you, they invited the black guy back and the white guy back. And they hired the black guy, he qualified, what have you, and the white guy qualified too. But they were shocked that he had shaved. And I agreed. I said, why would you shave? Well, I wanted to make a presentation. I said, that's not the point. I asked you not to shave. What happens is you had something to give IBM and you didn't. They had the opportunity to ask you to shave. And if you said yes, then you're aboard.
Team player.
You're aboard. You didn't understand. Come back as you are, and the company will ask you to do something for them. Mm-hmm. Because the standard was not beards or mustaches for white employees. Mm-hmm. So he didn't get the job.
Oh.
He didn't get the job. He did not get the job. And the manager didn't want to tell me that, but I knew that's the reason why. See? So that's part of our in life experiences. You didn't hear anybody ever say that about hair on your face when all the guys, everybody black and white got hair on their face today. But then that was not the case. They didn't want you to look a certain way.
What year is this?
This is in probably in the 60s.
Okay.
Yeah, in the 60s.
Late 60s, early 70s?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I was working for IBM and I got married in 1963.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked there. So I worked for IBM for, maybe 6, 7, 8 years.
Gotcha.
I had a dispute with the manager. I'm the kind of person that you accuse me of doing something I didn't do, and I left. I left a fantastic company because they said I stole a typewriter. I couldn't believe it. And all my fellow employees told the manager, this is not what Palmer does. It's impossible. But you said that, and I left the company. I had 3 managers. The 2 managers before me, Charlie Glass and Vince Manchi, they were fantastic. The third manager, his name was Bill. Can't remember his last name. And he wasn't a good guy. He wasn't a good guy, in my opinion. And I don't want to be around people who aren't good people.
Gotcha. What's the point?
Yeah. So anyway, I left the company. I had money. I had stock in the company, what have you.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I was fortunate enough looking for work, and I got a job with a company called Bliss Weinhardt. And it's a company out of Portland, Oregon. And they're the people who sell Old English 800 malt liquor. I'm a non-drinker, and I got a job. The gentleman who
With
turned
Old English malt liquor?
That's right.
Okay.
I'm the first rep to rep that product. Black person, I'm the first rep to rep that product. I was in Ebony Magazine with another company, but prior to that, I was with the Sentinel newspaper as a manager for this company, Bliss Weinhardt, out of Portland, Oregon. My duties were simply to introduce a product to stores and distributors that would cater to the black community. And that's what was done. And I'll never forget, I'm in Texas, and the manager, my superior boss, was named Bill Floyd. He said, Jim, what have you learned since we've been here? This is over a year with the company. I said, what I learned, Bill, was this, is that the Japanese use white people to advertise their product to Americans. He said, you got it. They use me to advertise a product that black people predominantly use. The malt liquor at the time was in a little green can. I forgot the name of it. Mm-hmm. It was a malt liquor that black people use. And what happened, they figured, let's market this product, Old English malt liquor, to the black community, because that's what they liked. So you give people what they want, and that's what they did. And I was a good representative for them. I don't drink, never have drank or drunk, but I was the guy they wanted.
Yeah. Why, maybe hindsight 2020, did you feel some type of way about not being a drinker and knowing the causes of alcohol, but yet advertising this to the black community and knowing what it did?
What you just said, when I was doing this, because I'm a non-drinker, I've been in situations in bars where we introduce a product to a black customer and they disrespect the product by drinking a whole can at one time and falling off the bar stool right in front of me. And then I realized, what am I doing? I don't even drink. What am I doing sharing this item with my race of people? But that's was my job. And that's what I did, even though I didn't drink. But then there's a point in my life that it's time for me to move on. And I did. I was out of work for a while. I left the company. I had severance money, had a few bucks. I left the company, and I decided to do some work that I never thought I'd ever do. I'm above being a janitor. That's my attitude. But I was broke at the time. So I saw an ad in the paper for a janitor. And I'm saying, God, I've been wearing suits and I'm going to be a janitor. Anyway, I took a job with this company and I learned how to become a janitor, cleaning stores and doing stuff like that. And in the process, I said, I can do this. I went to my father, told my father, would you loan me $10,000? He didn't want to agree to it took a couple hours of me prodding him with my wife in his house, saying, "Hey, Dad, I need this money." And he said, there is dirt and what have you. My father worked for a company called Phelps Dodge. He was a boss there. And I had an opportunity as a teenager to work with my father during the summertime. The thing that I discovered about my father was that he was really a smart guy. You don't think about that in terms of your father. He's successful. My father really became a millionaire, and nobody knew it, but I knew it.
Mm.
I knew it. Nobody knew it.
What year is 1970?
Yeah, this and this. My father was a millionaire, but he was a millionaire next door. He never showed anything. But what happens is, my father had enough money. He gave a guy in Orange County $250,000 to be a part of his Mercedes dealership. Did that for years. After my father passed, my brother and I would receive over $300 a month every month. We did that for 7 years after my father passed on. This company paid us this money. And this company eventually sold out and came to me and said, "Jim, you guys made a lot of money. Your father made money. You and your brother been making money. How about us settling?" I told my brother, "Let's settle." They paid us. They paid us out. We had money, and that was over. But back to my story of me having worked for companies and doing things like that. The $10,000 my father did loan me, I started a maintenance company, and I got a job immediately doing work for Rite Aid. And I was good at it. I got 30 stores, made $500,000 in a year doing that work. I hired my daughter and son at a time when they worked for me. I did that for several years. The sequence of how many years is not clear to me, but I did it for several years. And I made a lot of money, and I bought property. My wife and I think over the years, I've had about 4 or 5 houses, moving from where we first started out in the city of Compton. We went to Hawthorne and kept coming east to Brea, to Fontana, and all the way to San Bernardino. My first house was in Corona. My second house was in Cerritos. I was working for IBM, and I remember telling the guys I want to buy a house in Cerritos. And the guys would laugh at me and say, "Man, you'll be selling oranges in front of your house. You can't afford a house like that." Anyway, I bought a house. I think the house was about $60,000 or $80,000 at the time.
Got you. What did you do after the maintenance business?
What I did at the maintenance business, that's a good question. Let me see. I was playing tennis.
Okay.
I bought a house in Fullerton. I moved to Fontana.
Okay.
I mean, I was, I can't even remember. I was so successful and easily that I can't remember. It just happened. I've been playing music as a teenager as a saxophone player, and learning to play the flute as well. This is in high school. Where I lived in Compton, we used to go to Watts and play at a bar and learn from the older guys how to play some blues and stuff like that.
Nice. I wanted to get into some of the community work that you've done.
Okay, what I've done when I moved out to Fontana, I opened up a studio at the local park, and I had people to come there to learn how to play saxophone and other instruments. And I met a lady, and she could play the piano. I remember harassing her about playing the piano. I said, "Come on, you can play, you can play." But I discovered she's a singer, and she told me, "Jim, I got a gig in Hollywood. How about come play with me?" I was like shocked. And she was a professional singer, and she was taking the class that I was teaching. Her grandson, his name is Chris. He's right now on the internet. He's a drummer. He's very good. And
Chris what?
Chris what? That's the question. I have to look it up on the internet.
Got you.
Chris's last name.
Got you.
But
Why
anyway,
did you decide to start that type of community center for the musicians?
Well, because I was into it. I was really into the music. When I was in Orange County, where I lived for a while, I went to the local college, Fullerton College, and I started recruiting students to play at a place called Western World. It's a large facility in Orange County. And I would recruit students to come play for a lady that owned the property, and I was a promoter for her. And I was able to be successful doing that. That's what happened afterwards. I was able to make $1,000 a week doing that. I had students of all races. We had all kind of dancers, tap dancers. We had jazz musicians. I had a little bit of everything. Fullerton was rich with entertainment with young students. So I did that, promoted that. Then I finally came out to the Inland Empire. How I quit that job was that my band played there one night, and one of my players, happened to be a guitar player, he was drinking during the intermission. And the lady was very Christian-like, and she was so upset that she terminated my employment. And I couldn't believe it. I didn't think Jerry really did anything devastating to be drinking when they serve alcohol on the property.
He wasn't belligerent or anything like that, right? He was still good.
Yeah, nothing like that. But the woman had some quirk about her. Even the fact that I had a female singer, a white girl, played with us. She saw the girl in a way that I couldn't understand. She said, "I don't like the way the girl is standing. I think that's very provocative." It was baffling me how she could see a woman totally dressed being provocative.
It sounded like she had a different agenda. And it's so interesting, because you would think as a Christian, she would learn to look deeper and beyond such things.
Right. She didn't see that. And so I'm down the road. I get back to San Bernardino or Riverside area. And so that, matter of fact, I forgot I had 2 houses in Riverside.
It's okay.
And one of the houses employed my employees who were working for the maintenance company, which was called my civil.
Target?
No. It was called. My son told me the daggone name today.
It's okay.
Something Tech.
Okay.
Floor Tech. Floor Tech was the name of the company.
Okay.
Floor Tech. The company that I had, name of my company in what city you had?
Riverside?
Riverside. That was, I think you have the name of it there?
I just said Target.
Yo.
Yeah.
Target was the name of the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, Target was. We sold toner, competitive toner that goes in Xerox machines. And we were very successful, about $30,000, $40,000 a month at the time, with a buddy of mine named Frank Robinson. We were featured in Ebony Magazine as a company that got a contract with a major player. And
who was the major player?
The major player was any company that would buy our product, because there was nobody else black selling toner at the time. The guys were selling over the telephone. They came to me and said, "Jim, how about joining us?" I joined the company, and I was the vice president. The president was a guy named Frank Robinson. And we did that for several years. Frank and I fell out. I went on to do the thing with the maintenance company. Frank stayed there, was successful with the company, and eventually sold the company to somebody else.
Gotcha. And you said you rented out one of your houses to some of your maintenance workers? Is that what you said?
My son and daughter worked for me.
Okay.
For a while, and I remember when I left the company, my daughter still worked for the company, and this one manager that never liked me called me on the telephone and says, "Your daughter wrote a bad check." I said, "Well, why are you calling me?" She thought I would have some influence. I said, "Call the police. Don't call me." And I don't want to hurt my daughter like that, but what can I do? I can't tell her to make something right. So anyway, my daughter got through with that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she eventually went to a rehab center or a program in L.A., and she was rid of that situation.
Drugs?
No, it wasn't drugs, writing a bad check.
You go to rehab for writing bad checks?
There was a rehab. The word maybe is incorrect, but there was a program. If you wrote bad checks, there was a program in L.A. to help check writers to not write checks.
Wow, I guess because it's like an addiction, I guess.
Yeah, whatever.
Wow.
And later on in the years, when I moved out this way, I met the guy that had the class that my daughter attended. I met the guy in Riverside at some kind of a function. We happened to talk about it, and we realized that we had crossed our path indirectly by my daughter taking this program.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
my daughter is very successful today. She's a very successful person.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the Jazz and Art Exchange?
Yeah, the Jazz on Exchange is something I started when I moved out here to San Bernardino. And I've been doing that for 20 years plus.
Okay. Talk to us about what it is.
Yeah, and what it is a nonprofit organization that would bring students together, professional players together, and would organize how to play, where to play, and find work, musical work. And I did that for those years, and I've had maybe 15 different studios since I've been in San Bernardino in different locations. The thing that guys talked about is the fact that I let people live in the studio with me, and the local forces would not allow that, even though I did it a lot of times. But they gave me a break. They always would give me an opportunity to terminate it. What do you call a local civic organizations that don't want you doing certain things, like moving people in a building with you and what have you? Anyway, code enforcement.
Okay.
Yeah, so code enforcement, I've been asked to leave 5 or 6 different places because I've done that, but I've never been penalized for doing that, and because other musicians had no facility to live. I see people today on the street living on the grass, living in the wild, living like animals, not having a place to shower, to shave, and things like that. So anyway, That's what I've done, and I've been doing that for over 20-some years, and I'm still in the process about starting that up again.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Would you happen to know a gentleman named Eugene Haseldo?
No, I don't.
Player?
No, I don't.
Okay. What's one of your dream visions for the Jazz and Art Exchange? What's one of the dream visions you would like to accomplish doing
Well,
this?
basically, I would like to just integrate it where the young people in the city, high school, junior high school, college, junior college, and universities would realize that the music that has been played for years ago by black people, the blues or whatever, jazz or whatever, that they are participating in that experience. I did, as a young teenager, had an opportunity to go to the city of Watts. I was in Compton, which is close by, and play with older players and learn how to play. That same experience would be beneficial to young people today. Kids of all races play every instrument there is out there. They should be integrated in reference to exposure, that they get a chance to go hear and play and do whatever they do, classical music or whatever. It doesn't matter. My 2 grandsons are musicians, and my son is a musician. He's an entertainer. He's been an entertainer all of his life, and he has had the opportunity to meet presidents in our country, President, the saxophone player, President
Bill Clinton.
Yeah, Bill Clinton, and his wife is a school teacher and a dance instructor.
Okay.
And the kids are endowed with talent, and
Got you. So your son, Stephen Palmer, is a full-time musician?
he's a full-time teacher and trainer. He's a trainer and musician.
Trainer as in
Physical
teaching?
trainer. Physical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to know if you'd like to play a game with us.
Say it again.
Want to know if you'd like to play a game with us.
Me?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. This game is called Memorable Moments.
Okay.
What it is I'm going to give you a picture. Here's
Okay.
a drawing.
Sure.
And I want you to tell me what you think's happening in this drawing.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Here you go. Tell me what you think's happening. Flip it over the other way. There you go.
Well, it looks like a couple of people having a good time. There might be water they're getting into, the beach possibly. Whatever is here, let me see. Oh, my glasses are in my pocket, I think. Take a better look. Okay. Away. My assumption is that they're at the beach.
Flip it over.
Okay.
Go ahead and read it out loud for us.
Say it again.
Go ahead and read it out loud. What
Okay,
it says.
it says your writing is, I don't know, so and so for better kids. I can't even read it.
Let me see.
I can't read it.
It says CSUSB honoring graduation, bearing for Charina Betters, with the kids, rest feeds Faye and other Faye friends, and so I believe it's Dr. Sharina Betters and her graduation with the kids. It looks like.
Okay. It looks like they're at the beach to me.
Yeah, little graduation hat on it. So with that said, I wanted to know if you'd be interested in drawing us a memorable moment that happened in your life.
And
it doesn't have to be perfect. It could be stick figures and stuff like that.
Okay, sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so here's this for you.
Okay.
Pen.
Okay.
And then, thank you for playing.
Okay.
I kept on hearing, we talk a lot about music, right?
Yes.
And, what's your take on AI and music?
Well, the AI and music situation right now, I just was introduced to a program on the internet where you could come up with lyrics and the AI will continue and write the song for you. The thing about that is that you need to have the publishing rights and all rights so that you can really own the property. It's kind of scary that you can come up with an idea and it could be reproduced as well as you or better. And if you don't have the legal right to claim it, someone else can claim it. I've already done this just recently. A friend of mine introduced me to it. The name of the product, I don't recall, but I'm a songwriter and a poet, and it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Do you feel like it's destroying creativity by using AI?
Well, it's not destroying it. It's speeding it up. And again, it's not artificial. Even the artificial had to have an input of human. There's human factor in everything that we do, but granted, you don't need 20 people to produce something good. One person can. It's like guys playing multiple machines at one time, recording it and playing the guitar, move over, play the bass, move over, play the saxophone, move over, play any other instrument, and create your own music that way. Mm-hmm. This situation with AI, that stuff is already in a studio, and when you speak whatever it is you're saying, those apparatus go into action and create the music. And the genres are multiple.
Yep.
Rhythm and blues, rock, roll, jazz, you name it, the AI can produce it. Those are ideas that you can have. The difference is that a live person will have to reproduce it in public to show people, or you're going to buy recordings and list it at home, which we used to do with records and things like that. If you can put it on your internet and just listen to music, then it could be all AI, and you may never see anybody perform it live.
Yeah.
See, and if you do see it perform live, it should be fun. But again, you can create a visual, play the music in the background, dance and party, and think it's live.
Yeah. So what do you think the pros and cons to the AI music thing is?
Well, the pros and cons is that the fact that you learn how to play an instrument may not be necessary.
That's the pro.
Yeah. You may not. Why play an instrument when you can speak it and let somebody else with some kind of apparatus make it happen?
Okay. See,
and that's real. So you can make sounds of saxophones, bass players. You can do everything.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you want. So what's the need in playing music? The thing that I try to tell people, a buddy of mine was upset. He's a 70-year-old man upset that he didn't have the career in music that he wanted. And I said, you know what? I play saxophone. It's fun to do that. But I know other guys that play saxophones too, just like yourself. The difference is they didn't want to be saxophone players as a lifestyle. They want to be doctors. They want to be engineers. They want to be dentists. So you're upset that you didn't do your one choice, which was music. and you worked a job as an adult, but you're upset that you didn't get to the pinnacle of playing the saxophone. It's over. Stop it. Stop it. You know, and my attitude at my age, at 60 years old, the time has come to let it go. Share your wealth for those you know. When time is up, you'll never know. It's time to let the BS go. This applies to everybody. We don't live to be 90 years old. So if you're 60 years old, try to get another 30 years in life as possible. And what you need to do is let the bad things happen. The penitentiary, your mother and father, your neighbors not treating you right, you're losing a job. Try not to get trapped and wind up living on the street. Try not to. It's not easy, but you got to try. That's it.
What's one of the cons of AI music?
Well, the pros and cons. Well, the pro part of it is that
We talked about the pros, yeah.
yeah, the pro simply is that you can create stuff rapidly that might have a benefit to somebody else.
What's the con?
The con simply is that we don't need but few people to do it. Everybody doesn't need to make the input. We could sit around and just think and just say stuff, which I've done. I was just, yesterday, I was saying to myself that I let my girlfriend stay with my buddy. And when I come back to see her, I ask her how it was. She said, "Oh, I had a real good time." So you write a song about you let your girlfriend stay with your buddy because she had to go do something. And she says, "Oh, honey, well, thank you. I had a real good time."
Got you. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? So you can make that interpretation. You know, so it means that possibly that she had more fun with that person than you, or as much fun. So you just never know. But we don't need but one person to come up with ideas all day long and create multiple songs in every genre that you can imagine. You know, I fell off a ladder. I don't have any cash. You could do anything and make a song out of it. And the AI is going to add lyrics that you don't have necessarily.
Got you. I farted and it came out the other mouth.
Yeah. It is it. You know, it's simple to do it. And you know, I try to do poetry almost every day or
Gotcha.
rhyme.
You notice, folks, he didn't really give us a con, so we're gonna keep on going. He didn't give us any con, but we're gonna move forward.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't give us a con. Did you realize that?
The con is that basically is that you can do it without help.
How's that a con?
Well, it's a con because we don't need much. In other words, we got 20 guys that want to write a song for a company, and the company said, "No, we just use John. He can do it all." So you don't get a job writing songs. Let John do it.
Okay, so it's basically it's taking
That's
away
the con.
jobs. It's taking away jobs.
Yeah, it takes away jobs.
And opportunity.
Because one guy, one creative person can do that. You got 3 ideas. John's got your ideas plus 100 other ideas. So we don't need you. John can do the job, or Mary can do the job.
Yeah, with the AI help.
Thank you. With the AI help, that's the con.
Yeah, the con is the destroying jobs.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned earlier about, you know, when you hit your 60s plus, let it go.
Yeah.
Right? What's some words of wisdom or some lessons that you've learned by being on this planet for over 80 years?
Yeah, well, the lesson that I learned, because I've not always been so righteous, is that you need to make a determination in your life that doing anything that's negative is not helpful in your life. Negativity in your life is not good. The way you speak to people, the way your anger is, try not to be that. Because I remember being angry with a guy that begged me for some money, and I was upset about it. And when I woke up from that realization that that guy might need that money, he might be a con, but I tell you one thing, when people beg you for something today and beg you for the same thing tomorrow, it's real. They may beg you for money or food, but all of us need money each day and need food each day. So when a guy asks you to do the same thing the next day, he's not doing anything unusual. He's doing something that's normal. If you want to eat on Tuesday, you want to eat on Wednesday. You know, and people right now are pooping in the street and behind a tree because they don't have a facility that's close and convenient to do that. So why are we surprised about anything that we see? There's no surprises. Everything that happens has been happening. And I personally believe that what we believe in our life is our imagination. The imagination is the strongest thing you could possibly have. How do you come from horse and buggy to car? How do you come from car to airplane? How do you become our airplane, car to jet, to rockets? It's our imagination. If you can't imagine anything, it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's not you individually. It's that the cumulative group of people in this world have had thoughts about something other than what it was at the time. And so you graduate to that. For a monkey wrench to a different kind of wrench. Mm-hmm. To automated tools that work, that you couldn't do. You couldn't take that thing off with a screwdriver. You couldn't take it off with a pair of pliers. Let's create a better tool to do that. That's our life. Our imagination. Our imagination is the most powerful thing we could ever have.
Our creativity.
Yeah, it's the creativity. Because you imagined it, you know. The plants we grow. How do you make a plant out of another plant? By crossing it and figuring out, well, how did I make a strawberry? How do I make a grape? Those things are magical, but they're in the inside of us that come out. Mm-hmm. The one thing I realized just a few days ago, in my opinion, I saw a lady working at the mall. She happened to be a Hispanic lady I saw her working. Thin lady, about 5'10". And I looked at her and I said, "Miss, can you speak English?" She says, "Yes." I said, "What I realize right now, that you are, as a woman, the most important thing in the world." That's what I saw. It was unbelievable.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You want some tissues?
Anyway,
you sure? You want to?
Yeah, no. The woman. She said, "You're right. We make the babies. We do everything. She can do the same kind of work a man can do, and they do it. They fly airplanes. They drive trains. They do everything a man can do. But we can't make a baby. We can participate in the baby making, but we can't make the baby. See, so that's my take. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are men just as equally important?
Say it again.
Are men just as equally important?
Yes, they are. They are. But they're the most. But I say the women's the most important. We are just as important, but we're not the most important.
Okay.
Yeah, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't function without the female. We don't function, and they don't function either. Basically,
without us.
Yeah.
It takes two to tango.
Yeah. It takes two to tango, and that's it. It takes two to tango, and the fact that I said what I said about the woman being the most important, I stand by that. Because they have to bear the fruit that we produce. That's labor, time, money, and children. You know, that's it.
Yeah. And hopefully she has the right mindset to raise our children the right way.
Absolutely. And the dad is important to present that in the family, if there is a family, to create some direction, you know. People follow religion because that's a form of direction, you know.
Yeah.
It's direction. No matter what race or what religion you're in, it's still a form of direction. It may not be my choice or direction or her choice, but it's a form of direction and control. Our religions are to control us from doing things that the religion indicates are detrimental to our existence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also control, as well.
Yeah. And control.
Hey, I'm glad you're able to share it with us, to be open to sharing it with us, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how we do here on the Empire.
Yeah.
Make people feel at home.
Yeah. I'm at home.
Save the safe space.
I'm at home.
Wanted to know if you'd like to indulge us. I know you do have your glasses on your head. I don't know if you want to keep them up there or not, but you can if you want. You can put them back in your pocket.
Okay. I'll do that. I got that.
There you go. That way you know where they are at all times.
True.
I'd like to know if you'd like to indulge us with something.
Say it again.
Like to indulge us for a moment. Another game.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
So what I'd like you to do is close your eyes.
Okay.
All right. And I want you to go back to about the age of 10 years old
Okay.
or younger,
Okay.
and you're inside, and there's something cooking. There's something cooking. What do you smell? What is that you smell cooking?
Well, I probably smell my favorite food coming up as a kid, and that was lima beans, the big lima beans.
Gotcha. And where are you?
I would be in the kitchen where my mom was cooking, and she used a pressure cooker to cook, and it was exciting because it'd be cooked pretty quickly. So,
What else is around you?
oh, I can't imagine anything else, just her and myself. My father would be at work. My sister, I can't visualize her being there, even though she's just a year younger than I, but I can't visualize her. I just can only visualize the high-pressure container and my mom and myself.
Gotcha. Do you remember what she's wearing, or what color the kitchen looks like, or anything like that?
No, I can't. It's kind of mundane. We grew up in the housing project, and there wasn't any major colors. The Pueblo projects, which are on Long Beach Avenue in Los Angeles.
Gotcha.
The interior was just kind of plain. And I remember, too, that was our first time we ever saw a television set. And our neighbor brought a television set to our house, and the antenna, all I remember, the antenna looked like a long cross made out of leather. I may be totally wrong, but that's what I remember. That's what I thought I saw.
Nice, thank you. And it was lima beans, right? Your favorite?
Yeah, lima beans. I love lima beans even today, with a ham hock, with onions, and the large beans, and the juice. I love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking us on that journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe go a little back in time a little bit there.
Yeah, that was cool. I loved it. Yeah.
We talked a couple of things, and what does family mean to you? We talked about mother, women being the most important, and then father, and then working together and family. What does family mean to you? You're a father business. What does family mean to you?
Well, the way I raised with my mother and father, very close. I remember being a teenager that I never knew this. My father read the Bible every day, but I'm 16 years old before I discovered that. We weren't religious people. The thing that I do remember is that, and know this to be a fact, is that your parents send you to Sunday school, they send you to church, but they don't go. They send you to Sunday school and church, but my parents didn't attend. But they want me to follow something that they were raised believing is a good guide for you. And what happens is, if there's a good guide for you, the guide should be continued with a parent. But I'm not the only person who had to go to Sunday school, who went to church, and my parents didn't attend.
Do you know why they didn't go?
No, I have no idea.
Any assumption?
None.
Any assumption?
None at all. They didn't talk religious in the house. My parents were good people.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't break the law. They didn't do stuff like that I know of. And I don't say that lightly, that I know of. Because we don't know what our parents do all the time as we're adults.
Yeah. Or what they did in their younger years.
Right, exactly. And the thing that I rethink about is when I make a presentation and doing my music, and I do the song about the time has come to let it go, I ask the people in the audience, do you know how much older your parents were than you are? Is it 12, 14, or 18 years of age? And when you think about it, something that you don't think about it, you might be 12 years younger than your mother. And that means that she had you when she was 12 years old. Mm-hmm. But you don't think about that. That's something you don't think about. Your parents are just like you. They made the same mistakes or have made the same mistakes, or there was a time when having a child at 12 or 14 or 16 years old wasn't a big deal.
It was normal.
Yeah. That time has changed. We don't want kids having babies at 12, 13, or 14, not even 18 years old, until you get some more maturity or get some more training or get a job or whatever it might be.
Now they're waiting too long, it seems like.
Yeah, it could be, right. Could be ladies are not getting married. And what happens is the fertile time in your life is probably probably long before 32 years old. The most fertile times in a woman's life would be that. So we're doing all this kind of stuff of making babies when you're 40 years old with science, you know. The one thing that's not nice to say this to you is that I personally don't believe in the Immaculate Conception. I think that the religion has made sex negative in a life that we lived, and we have sex to make children. So what happens is, I personally believe that the Africans experienced this or told the story 2,000 years before the Jewish people had this story told about Immaculate Conception. So now here we go. We go with me as an individual saying that no such thing as that. Okay. Because the sperm of a man can be replaced in a woman who's fertile and make a baby. Period. It doesn't take any science to make that happen. So I believe it happened thousands of years ago with the Immaculate Conception. That's how simple it is to me. It could be happen so easy to make children without having intercourse.
You said it can or it cannot? It
has, in my opinion, not can, has and will be and has been done with. I'm sure in our modern time it's been done.
Immaculate Conception?
Yes, with the insertion of a man's sperm into a woman.
Oh, okay, like infertilization type of thing.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Not science.
No sex
no
involved?
Science.
No
sex involved.
Okay.
No sex involved and no science.
Okay.
Just physical penetration. Physical penetration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe like she sat on a dirty rag type of thing and got pregnant?
No, I'm not buying it either. I'm talking about insertion. I ain't talking no dirty rag. I'm not buying that.
Gotcha.
That physical thing happened where a man would insert.
And then she got pregnant.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
I believe that, and I know it's happened. Excuse me, I don't know it's happened. I believe it's happened.
Okay.
And I'm sure science will tell you it has happened. The dirty rag story that you mentioned, it already happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't a rag.
Yeah. I don't know, this question wasn't on, but it's coming to me right now, because you grew up during the Civil Rights era, the Black Panther era. How was that for you during that time? Because I think you were working in corporate during these times.
Yeah. What happened for me, going back to high school, Mr. Gill was our track coach and our history coach. And I remember as a teenager, 16 years old, that I used to say later on that I probably was a radical if I grew up in New York. Because I remember being 6 years old and Mr. Gill was talking about history. He was our history teacher. And I remember saying, Mr. Gill, where are the black people in history? He didn't answer me. All I ever knew growing up, Booker T. Washington discovered the peanut. That's how uneducated I was at a predominantly black school. Our teachers are white. Civil rights was happening. I'm 16 now, and all these other things are happening, the Black Panthers, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm sympathizing with all the things that I heard.
Yeah, George Washington Carver, right, was the peanut?
Yeah, that's all I ever heard, Washington Carver, because truly being ignorant, me, at the time, not being a reader, not understanding, parents not deeply educated, not pushing for education. I'm not the only black kid that went through this, not knowing, not being inquisitive to know, and then the black kids who are inquisitive to know and being militaristic and getting guns and wearing black bandanas and stuff like that, they were into it. They understood better than me. They realized that things weren't right. But no, I'm living middle class, living in the projects, living in a house, daddy making money, got a pretty mother, all this stuff. My mother was light complected, gray eyes, looked like a white woman to some people. She was black, called red because she was light complected. It's a different life. And when I say I've been privileged, because all the stuff that I lived in my life, it's been easy. When I was a kid, I flew in airplanes that were not decorated like they are today. They're just all frames inside. I've been in cars trains that had beds in them, slept in a bed in a train, was fed in a cafeteria in a train, under 10 years old, from coming from New Jersey. All that stuff. So my life has been relatively easy compared to other people, and I know that. I recognize that. Working for IBM, working for Bliss Weinhardt Brewery, having owned businesses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't feel the strain going to my father asking for $10,000 and not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Not afraid to ask for it.
This is in the 70s, 60s?
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
so I can do that.
So how did the civil rights
Yeah.
and Black Panther movement and stuff like that affect you?
It affects me positively. It was positively, when Frank and I had this business of selling toner, we had a white secretary, and she was good. I'm the vice president, he's the president. I said, Frank, we got to get black people in here. I hate to tell you, man, but we got to let her go. He said, no, I'm not letting her go. And that's the way it goes, buddy. I'm not letting her go. And what I did, I left the company. I quit.
Because of that?
Yeah, I quit because of that. We're making $30,000, $40,000 a month. I quit the company and started my own company.
Was it that serious?
To me, that was my feeling.
Okay.
I left the company because he wouldn't hire a black female to take her place. Yes, I said terminate her and get a black girl in here. They brought me into the company, made me the vice president because I had something to offer, and I'm now offering what I think should be right. If I'm on your team, I'm an assistant coach, I can tell you, coach, let's do this. And you can tell me, no, I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
So I'm the assistant coach, he's the coach, and he said, no, I'm not going to do that.
What was his argument?
No argument. I'm not going to do it.
Period. No reason, no rhyme, no nothing.
Yeah. No, my reason is not a good reason. Even though I said we need to have some black people here, we're a black company. We are in Ebony Magazine, a full page, with he and I, dressed in suits, talking about our product, our business.
Frank was also a black man?
Yes, he's black too.
Okay.
Frank right now is younger than me. He looks older than me. He's lost some toes because he had
diabetes?
Diabetes, yes. And he's in a convalescent home right now. I'm 85. I think Frank is about 83.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Let me tell you, that one thing, high school, there were two really great guys in high school, great athletes, Charlie Dumas and Paul Lowe. Paul Lowe played for the Chargers, everything, went to Oregon State. Charlie Dumas was the first guy, jumped 7 feet, high jump, went to SC, became a school teacher. These guys are 2 years older than me, and they went to the same high school I went, Centennial High School. Mr. Aaron Wade was our football coach. He's the first black man to become a coach in the NFL. And I remember being in Texas when I was working for the brewery and going to a football game, and I saw Mr. Wade on the field officiating, and I got the people around me to holler, "Hi, Mr. Wade." And he recognized me in the audience. Mr. Wade eventually died. He drowned in his hot tub. Yeah.
That sounds interesting. How do you drown in the hot tub?
He went to sleep.
So he must have been like on some pain medication or something
I
like
have
that?
no idea. We don't know why he died that way. He wasn't a drinker or anything like that.
So it's basically 2 and 2 and not adding up?
Maybe he got overtaken by the heat. You can overheat yourself in a hot tub.
But you don't think he has the wherewithal to be like, okay, it's getting too hot. Maybe
He might have been sick. He might have some kind of sickness.
Got you.
But he was found drowned in his own tub.
Yeah. Are things adding up the way it's?
Well, as a younger person, I was probably in my 30s when it happened. Me not thinking any deeper than that, I wasn't inquisitive enough.
Got you.
See, there's a time when, you grow up and things don't seem right and you start asking questions. But sometimes you're just not aware of what you should ask.
Got you.
Or whether you believe what you heard or not.
Got you.
And there's a maturity in our life. And when I say when 60 years old, it's time to let it go, it's because we've lived in 60 years. You ought to know something by that time.
Mm-hmm.
And you ought to realize that what happened in the past don't continue to carry that with you.
Yeah, don't hate the dog because it bit you when you were 4 years old and you're still 60.
Exactly right. Don't do that. Don't
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
I wanted to address, which is, it's so unfortunate that your business had to stop just because your partner didn't want to hire a black secretary. But it's just also like, do you think, as the term says, do you think it was like the last straw that broke the camel's back type of situation? There was other things that were um, in discontent between you and him, and that was just like the one thing that's just like, okay, you know what? I'm over it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That may be the case, but I don't really see any argument. They brought me into the company, he and another guy.
Yeah.
I had the floor to do anything I wanted to do, and I did, to the point where let's terminate this girl. Nothing against her, but we need to look black because we are black.
Yeah, and we're representing that.
Right. So that's the deal. We're in Ebony Magazine. It's okay to have white people work for you.
Of course.
But the point of it is, at that time,
The face.
the face of the business is just like this. When you went to major companies in that time, black girls were the receptionists to look like the company was integrated. It may or may not be. I remember Frank and I went to Motorola in Chicago because we traveled all over the country with our product. We went to Motorola. We didn't know how to get to the front door. We went to the back door. We walked all the way to the plant, and all we saw were white people. That's all we ever saw. Now we're talking to the vice president and president of the company about buying our product, and they listened to us.
This is the toner brand, right? The toner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Motorola is the people who make all the electrical things.
Yeah.
So we're trying
But
to
you're
sell
the
our
toner,
product.
though,
Sell
right?
toner. We want to sell them toner. They did buy from us. And I said, there's nobody black here. And then this is a story I told the people. Frank, listen, everybody's sitting. I said, listen, this is what happens in our society. Mr. White Man, you get up in the morning, you go to the front and get the newspaper. Your dog is barking, you got the newspaper, and you take it back. You look at the newspaper, and you see there's a riot in the city. Black people are protesting this and protesting that. Now, you get dressed and get in your car and you drive on the freeway in California, but it's the parkway or different in Chicago. So now you're driving home and you see an old Chevy and you see smudge marks on the window from kids putting his on the window. And then you get to your office and you see a black girl as a receptionist at the company that you went to. And you're not happy because that's what you see and that's the image you see of black people. Old car, smudgy window, and a riot in the city. So you don't want to use those people. That's what's happening right now. Our image takes us in a bad place in the eyesight of the majority.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want the negative side with us. We don't want it. I see in our society today where Hispanic people are not going to be liked because they're going to be the majority. They have all the babies, 5 to 7 kids per family. Black people aren't having babies. You don't see them walking to school with their babies like the Mexican people are, women and men. Caltrans should change it to Mexico because Caltrans have nothing but Mexican people that I see doing all the work on the roads. All the work, and they can do everything. They're climbing the poles. They're in the lifts. They're doing everything. It's just what it is. But we want to discriminate against Chicanos, Mexican people, Latin people. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And that's what I see.
We talked about, the Chicanos and the perceptions of, Black Americans being viewed in a negative light.
Yeah.
And it made me think, going back to you being on this planet for 80 plus years, do you see history repeating itself?
I mean, I don't know. I thought that Kamala Harris would win the presidency. I was wrong. I see that black people on the internet with T-shirts saying for Trump. I was shocked. You call yourself that on a T-shirt. Here's for Trump. I was like, whoa, do you have to do that? So my people, they have a right to like Trump. They're people. They don't have to agree with me. But why would it be that extreme? If you see the value in Trump, go right ahead. But again, you don't know anything about Trump because you don't really know the value of Trump when he's been a racist all of the reported life that I know about.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's what it is, you know.
Gotcha. Going back to the negative images of Black Americans, do you think that's done on purpose, and do you think it still exists today?
No. It's when the negative part is since day one. You know, the watermelon jokes, the way we even talk about ourselves, we make it a joke. What happened? Things carry over from what is being said about anybody. We make jokes about ourselves. When I was a teenager, I'm in Compton Junior College. A white buddy of mine, Tom Jewell is his name. He became the mayor of one of the cities in Idaho after graduating because we both went to the same school, Idaho State University. And Tom told me about the story when everybody was black and there was a river. And people went to the river and they were able to become white. And the river got short on water. So all the remaining black people could do was pat their hands and pat their feet. And I was like, whoa, golly. I'm 18 years old, and that's the joke I heard.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not a racist. Another guy named Steve, the white guy, was on the football team. He was so funny to me. I said, Steve, I'm 18. I said, Steve, when I have a son, I'm going to name him because of you. I'm going to name him Steve. And I did.
Why?
Because I liked the guy. He was a funny guy, a nice guy. And then he went to SC, won a scholarship, and lost a scholarship because he got caught stealing food out the cafeteria. Sad.
There was no vouchers for athletes or anything like that? No.
I mean, that's all the information I got. So I never saw him again.
Because he got kicked off the team.
Got kicked out of the school.
Kicked out of the school completely.
Off the team or whatever because I went to Idaho. He went to SC.
USC?
Yeah, USC. I didn't qualify to go to SC. My grades weren't good enough, but I could go to Idaho. So he went there.
Gotcha.
I was also recruited to go to Stanford, but I didn't have good grades as a student, so I couldn't go there.
And basically, lifestyle was so expensive for Steve that he had to get down to stealing from the cafeteria at USC.
Yeah, that's the story that I was told because I never saw Steve after that to verify it one way or the other. Yeah, so.
I had another question, but I can't think right now, but we'll move forward. Do you believe in like God or a higher being?
That's a tough question. And the reason why is because I believe in man's imagination. And I believe that if there's a God, like we say over and over again, that he gave us the imagination that we have. The one thing that growing up, people said if you said blasphemous things about the God or the Bible, that you'll be struck down.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my take. Because I have a viewpoint that's different than a lot of people, why isn't I'm dead now? Because if I don't agree with somebody who's religious, God didn't strike me. Because I believe if there is a God or a higher power, he's allowed me to be able to think. And I believe I'm able to think the way I feel. I have the power to think and say what I believe is correct. And I believe a man's imagination has created most of everything that we believe today because we don't know anything. My Uncle David, when I was 10 years old, who was a minister, I said, Uncle David, what was happening before Jesus Christ? He told me something I don't remember, but in my viewpoint, it didn't make sense. I'm 10. I'm 85. It never made sense to me. No matter what you tell me about the Bible makes sense to me, even though it's a lesson to live a different life. But when you talk about Sodom and Gomorrah, a place of ill repute, of homosexuality, as if it's the only house like that, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Today, we got one drug house that we talk about. It's a joke. There are thousands and millions of drug houses throughout the world. Mm-hmm. There are thousands and millions of Sodom and Gomorrah places out the world. Mm-hmm. But we only talked about the one as if that's the only one that exists.
Actually, your next door neighbor could be Sodom and Gomorrah.
Thank you. And so what happens is I got a different viewpoint without saying anything more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't say anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
Be careful with the mic stand, okay?
Okay, yo, sure.
So is it safe to say that since you do have an imagination, you do believe in a God or a higher being? Is it safe to say that?
It's hard to know that. There's something beyond us.
So you believe in that at least?
Yeah, there's something beyond us. What it is, we call it God. It's something beyond us.
So you at least believe in that?
Yeah. Because the imagination is the God that I envision.
Got you.
Yeah.
So let's say you can ask one question to this thing beyond our existence, beyond this realm of reality. You can ask it one question, and you can get an answer.
Okay.
What question would that be?
Okay. The question is example. There's a lady just died 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine. 2 weeks ago, died 2 weeks ago. I've been knowing her for over 20 years. Tremendous help to me. Tremendous help. And so in the religion that we follow, the Christian religion, is that you can die with something that you didn't take care of and suffer for eternity.
For example?
The example, if you did something bad or you never rectified it, then how I interpret it, that you have to live with that misstep for the rest of eternity. So what I say, this lady's name is Lou, and because we're good friends, and she had cancer, which I didn't know, but was always suspect of her getting sick, I said, Lou is going to die and never tell Jim Palmer goodbye. So now she has to live with that for eternity. That's not what I believe. That's me saying that's what the religion says. That's what the Christianity religion says. You're living with something forever in eternity. If I'm wrong in that interpretation, then I'm wrong. But the point of it is, I can't believe that.
Gotcha.
I don't believe that.
So with that said, what's your one question that you would like to ask that other being that you would like to get an answer from?
Well, the answer is that...
What would the question be?
Okay, the question would be, am I right? Or am I wrong? About my viewpoint.
About the living with something for eternity?
Yeah, no. With understanding there's something out there that is more powerful than we can imagine. It's our imagination. Mm-hmm. It's our imagination. Am I correct or not? That power out there can tell me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What do you think the answer would be if you can guess?
That, there's something beyond imagination. Mm-hmm. Imagination might not be physical. See, it can't be physical.
Yeah, it has to come from a non-ether
type
of thing.
It's not an earthy thing. It's not a planet thing.
Yeah.
It's whatever it is. Because what happens when you talk about God, the vision is this, that there's something taller than the world. And that something that's taller than the world is holding the world in its hand and all the atmosphere. That's the vision that I have. If there's a God, we've made it human. It stands upright and holds the world in its hand. Mm-hmm. But what is that world that is standing in?
He's got the whole world
in his hand. So what if you're standing up and you're holding the world, what are you standing in?
Okay.
What world is that you're standing in? What's the platform? What's the ground? See,
what's the foundation?
Yeah, well, how does this work?
Gotcha.
How does this work?
If we're putting God in a human,
in a human perspective, we're doing that with Jesus Christ by making him be born without having sex.
Yeah,
we're doing that too.
Yeah, the Immaculate Conception, right?
Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah. Good question. Good question. You know, going back to imagination, right? And since we can say that you're a man with imagination,
yes.
Right? What do you imagine the future is looking like, and the future of humanity looks like? What do you think that looks like?
That's a good question in my viewpoint. The reason why I think I can answer, because I couldn't imagine a car from a horse. I can't imagine a horse to a car to a plane. That's not in me. Other people have that imagination to make those things become reality. That's not me. You might be that guy that can think that the guy that thought about amplifying our voice through this microphone, that was him or others like him. IBM created an idea that made them millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars because it benefited our society.
Didn't IBM work for Nazi Germany?
I have no idea. You may have the history that I don't have.
Okay.
And what happens is, if you're not a reader, the things you will never know. So even if you read stuff, it may not be true.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the answer? The answer is continue to probe. You'll never know. Continue to probe. You'll never know. Continue to probe. You'll never know. You will believe. You will assume, but you will never know.
Gotcha. So you have no vision about what the future will look like or humanity?
None.
Nothing? Okay.
None at all.
Gotcha.
None at all. And the reason why, because nobody has helped me to realize what the future is, because everybody died and they can't tell me. All people who have passed away cannot tell us. The signs tell us about people who have passed when they lay dead bodies on the ground and let them rot and determine what their symptoms were, what can happen, et cetera, et cetera. We have places like that in our country where we just lay people, if they die, and just lay them in the ground. And we let them rot and disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Science.
Dust to dust.
Okay. According to the internet, in Tibet, they don't bury people because the ground is so hard, so they let the vultures eat the body.
Yeah.
They look at the body as not something that's sacred. It's taken away. If it is sacred, they take it away and not put it in the ground.
Well, I think that's the, I forget what they call it, but they look at it as a circle of life.
Yeah, okay, circle of life.
Yeah.
Same thing. So we disappear.
Yeah.
Death is disappearing.
Yeah. Giving the feeding the birds back your body that's no longer housed
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah.
And they poop you back to the ground.
Yep.
They poop your body back to the ground.
Circle of life.
So that's man's imagination. See, they imagine that. We imagine something different.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings imagine burning you in a boat or a canoe or whatever. So our imaginations creates things, our religion, et cetera, et cetera. Every race has done damage to its own race and to other races. Every race has done damage to their own people and outside of their own race.
Some more than others.
Yes.
Yeah, some cultures even eat other human beings.
Oh, we do that today.
Yeah.
We're cannibals.
Mm-hmm.
Human people are cannibals. We can survive with eating your flesh. I can survive by eating your flesh.
So you think that we're cannibals today?
Oh, there may be, I don't know about that,
Okay.
but I can survive. Man can survive by eating another person. Cooking the person is like you cook a cow or a pig. You can be cooked and eaten.
Gotcha. But how long can you live off that, though?
How many cows can you kill? As many as it takes. You can live with the human consumption as long as a man can live, in my viewpoint.
Gotcha. I think in science, I think you'll have something just like how there's such thing as mad cow disease. Do you know what that is?
I've heard of it, yes.
Mad cow disease comes from when people were feeding cows to other cows.
Okay.
Created a disease.
Yeah, well.
Certain the same thing would exist for human beings eating human beings. There'd be a disease that would happen over time.
Right, see?
Right.
So we can eat the cow, we can't eat the person. You can eat the person, and then you got to change your diet.
Yeah, well, well, cows aren't good for you either, but that's a whole different story.
I got you.
Yeah, cows aren't.
I got you.
We're not supposed to be eating meat. That's a different topic we won't get into.
Yeah.
And it's also ironic, or not ironic, but it's also something to look into why another culture like India would worship cows, but then in America, they make it the primary source to eat. So what's one perspective versus another? It's a different thing to think about.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah, what about the pig? That we're taught not to eat a pig, right?
Well, it's supposed to be the most filthiest animal, right? They say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because it generates worms and stuff like that, and can create worms in the brain if you eat it certain times. But human beings are not supposed to be genetically designed to eat meat. Period. But that's a different story.
Yeah.
Wanted to know if you'd like to play another game with us. Wanted to know if you'd like to play another game.
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
This one's called Quick Slip.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a word, and the first thing that comes to your mind, I want you to say.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Sure.
You ready for it?
Yep.
Quick Slip. Here we go. Coltrane.
John.
Power.
IBM.
Ohio.
State.
Cherokee.
Indians.
Polygamy.
Happens.
Panthers.
Animal.
Popcorn.
Good stuff.
Gassy.
Smelly.
Gadgets.
Trinket.
Pentatonic.
Music.
Ugly.
Pretty.
Laughing.
Happy.
Other.
People.
Purple.
Colors.
Ambidextrous.
Multiple talented.
Purpose.
Truth.
At last.
Death.
Growth.
Temperature.
America.
Supposed to be.
Poverty.
Evident.
Perception.
Evident.
Love.
A dream.
Humanity.
Not sure.
Dick Van Dyke.
Passed away.
I believe he's still alive.
Dick Van Dyke?
I believe so. I think
Really?
he's like in his
Okay.
90s.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah.
Congratulations to him.
I could be wrong. Let us know, folks. Women.
Most valuable in the world.
Passion.
Women.
Heart.
Mind.
Home.
Peace.
And that's Quick Slip. Thank you.
Yeah.
We learned a lot about you today, Mr. Palmer. What's one thing that majority of people don't know about you, maybe even close friends? What's one thing? And it could be anything.
Well, I don't think I'm unusual. That's why. I don't think I'm unique, even though I know I'm unique in some form or fashion, like all of us are. But I don't see myself as so unique. I don't. So if somebody knew me, they may have perception of who I am or what I'm like, but I'm not unique, different from anybody else. My story is not different from anybody else. There people have done great things. That wasn't me, so I'm not unique.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Except he's been in Ebony Magazine twice.
Yeah, but the uniqueness is that unique means that it's something that different that doesn't happen. But what happened to me has happened to other people, and way beyond that. So I'm not unique in that respect. Unique only in my life. My life has been unique to me, and I've been blessed, as the word we use that word. I've been blessed. Mm-hmm. So I'm privileged in that respect to be here today telling you about who I am and what I've done. And this is going for hours, like you indicated, starting out, because there are a lot of things that you can tell people that you're not going to share with everybody,
Yeah.
So.
You played music and sports, right? Both those two things.
Yes.
Do you see a correlation between the two?
No, I don't. But what happens is, it's like they're not related, because all of a sudden you do one thing to another. But the thing is, you can do this thing simultaneously, and that's what I did. I didn't go to college and play my saxophone. Never did it. I did that before college. Didn't even play in junior college. But when I became an adult, I started playing again. I used to play in a festival in Orange County where the people in that the celebration was a band called the Doctors Band. And everybody in that band were doctors. So what happens is like I tell people, we learn how to play an instrument that may not be my first love, but it is one of my loves. So I just got to finish medical school. I've got this or that, and there's a band forming called Doctors, and I'm a doctor. Oh, I want to be in that band, and so you join that band. So we are unique in that respect that we have a talent that can be used no matter what the other talent we have or the education we have. So I can do surgery on a person's body and I can play the saxophone or I can play the violin or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine plays the violin and the saxophone. He lives in this city. Greg Schneider, he's a world-class photographer. He's a friend of mine, and I was taking violin lessons from him. But I didn't stick with it. But he plays the violin, he plays saxophone, he's good at it. And he's a friend. He's a big-time photographer.
Sweet. What current projects are you working on, whether it's personal, professional, spiritual? What current projects are you working on?
Well, I'm not working on anything. I'm thinking about starting a studio to do music again like I've done in the past. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been living in Corona, and I have a company that I pick up discards, trash, and junk from people who needed offices and private people. Academy Junk and Trash is my business. I've been doing it for about 7 years. But music is always my passion, and I've been doing it in conjunction with that. So the deal is continue to do that, get the Jazz Art Exchange up and running again, and that'll be it.
Mr. Jim Palmer, thank you for being on The Empire.
You're welcome.
Let's say 100 years pass by, 250 years pass by. What would you like your empire to look like 250 years from now?
The empire?
What would you like your empire to look like 250 years from now?
It's hard to imagine. I can't even imagine, even I'm talking about imagination. I can't imagine that it's going to be different than what I could imagine because it's futuristic. Everything we would think about. We think about jet planes and things that are not possible today that maybe would be possible that we actually will have a man on the moon that's walking, not just in a suit or another planet. Those things may be possible. I don't know. And if that is possible, then what is the God theory all about? If we are able to fly to another planet, it's beyond my imagination. But somebody else has the imagination to talk about putting people on another planet. That's not my imagination. So I'm limited in what I could possibly think for the future. It's not inside me. The people that read a lot, think a lot, delve into things a lot, have that imagination. I met a guy who'd been in penitentiary for 20 years, and he's telling me about celestial bodies out there that he believes all these things. That's his viewpoint. He had 20 years to read books and come up with this theory from what he read, from authors that wrote this stuff. I didn't get 20 years reading that kind of literature. I'm not reading that kind of literature, and I don't believe that. I don't believe that God is standing, holding the world in his palms. What is there to believe that you can prove? Not much, in my opinion. Proving is the key. But I can tell you one thing, the imagination that man had to make a jet airplane, to make a train, called a bullet train, to get to one place from another in a matter of minutes, that's real. Mm-hmm. See? But beyond that, what can you imagine?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So it's kind of hard for you to visualize what your empire will look like 250 years from now.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thank you for sharing with us and talking with us. Can you please let people know how they can contact you and reach you, maybe to help support, join your art stuff? Can you let them know how they can contact you and reach you?
Well, what happens is because I lost my phone and I have a new phone, all I can do is have them to contact you if you would let them and pass that information on to them.
Gotcha. Yeah. And we're going to get him an Instagram account. So by the time this comes out, he'll have his Instagram account together, and we'll have that in the description so that way you can reach out to him.
Okay, great.
That'll work. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys all for tuning in and listening. Please like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Comment down below what you thought. If you want to support us, you can do our Cash App, which is $THEE Empire Podcast. We also have PayPal, Venmo, other things like that. We have merch. We have books. We have merch. Anything that you do to help goes back into keeping this work alive. We love what we do. Sharing and liking the video goes a long way. And we appreciate all you guys' help and participation. And Mr. Palmer, is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I want to say hello to my wife, hello to my son, and to my daughter. They've been very important in my life, and I want to acknowledge that.
Gotcha. Should we say them by name?
Yes, Leah Palmer, Stephen Palmer, Ruth Palmer.
Boom. And that's daughter, son, wife, right? That you just
Daughter, son, wife, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else you want to say?
That's it. Wish my grandsons all the most success and my daughter-in-law all success.
Awesome. Well, other than that, folks, we'll catch you in the next episode. Peace.
Bye-bye.